Hello and welcome to From the South, teleSur's daily news show. We start off in news on Latin America. At the UN General Assembly meeting this Tuesday, delegations from 6 Latin American countries walked out as Brazilian President Michel Temer began his address. Delegations from Ecuador, Costa Rica, Bolivia, Venezuela, Cuba, and Nicaragua all left the chamber in response to what they believe was a parliamentary coup against ousted President Dilma Rousseff and an illegitimate Temer government. Brazil's President Temer insists that Rousseff's impeachment was conducted with absolute respect for the Constitution. Colombia's FARC guerrillas say the group fears possible reprisals by paramilitary groups were they to disarm. FARC General Staff Member Pablo Catatumbo says the fear of revenge attacks by the remnants of right-wing paramilitary groups founded in the 1980s to fight them is a major concern. Disarmament is one of the final prerequisites of a peace deal with the Colombian government. It brings to end a 52-year conflict that has claimed 260,000 lives and left 45,000 missing. Iranian President Hassan Rouhani visited Cuba this week. He met with the country's revolutionary leader Fidel Castro and with Cuban President Raul Castro to bolster bilateral ties. During the talks with Fidel Castro, the two sides recognized the threats by climate change on global food production, the world's rising population, the need to safeguard world peace, and the young generation's important role in countering challenges in the political, economic, and social arenas. While meeting with Raul Castro, a memorandum of understanding was signed to further strengthen Cuba-Iran cooperation in healthcare. Thousands in cities across Mexico took part in a massive earthquake drill this week. September 19th marks the 31st anniversary of the devastating 8.1 magnitude quake in 1985 that killed more than 10,000 people and left large parts of Mexico City in ruins. During the exercise, office workers filed out of buildings and into city parks and squares after sirens sounded the start of the enormous drill. Drill participants said it was important to take these drills seriously, which also included firefighters and other first responders treating volunteers who acted as injured earthquake victims in a rescue simulation. A volcano in Costa Rica erupted in the early hours on Monday. The eruption took place at 2:53 a.m. local time and peaked with incandescent rocks being thrown from its massive crater. A second eruption occurred later that morning, also sent ash and smoke some 13,000 feet into the air. Both eruptions lasted around 15 minutes. Authorities temporarily closed Costa Rica's international airport, fearing the volcanic ash could cause problems for planes.
Peruvian campesina and Goldman Environmental Prize winner Máxima Acuña is denouncing U.S. gold mine company Newmont for physically assaulting her on Sunday. In a video edited by the company, around 14 private security officers are seen in confrontations with Acuña and her husband, while other company employees are destroying their vegetable plots. Since her land is in a remote area of the southern Andes of Peru, she had to travel 2 hours to reach a clinic.
They grabbed me, they pushed me, they held my arm and shook me and hit me with a baton. Then they grabbed me here and it hurts, and they grabbed me here and undressed me.
Acuña became a leader in the struggle to stop the environmental destruction in the region after she refused to sell her land to the Colorado-based transnational Newmont and won a trial that confirmed she is the rightful owner of the land. A representative of the state ombudsman visited Acuña in the clinic and said the government has failed to implement the measures ordered to guarantee her safety.
She's receiving medical treatment now, which was the most urgent thing, because she's in a lot of pain. According to what I could personally see, they have diagnosed her with many serious bruises from what the doctor has told me. But the second thing we have to keep in mind is that she is the beneficiary of a safety measure that should guarantee her physical safety.
Newmont officials responded to the accusations by releasing a written statement where they claimed the measure was taken to reclaim the property and that they acted peacefully and in self-defense. Rael Mora, teleSur, Peru.
Now on to world news. The chairman of the Standing Rock Sioux tribe called on the United Nations to support his people's fight against the construction of a pipeline in North Dakota. Dave Archambault told the UN Human Rights Council that U.S. courts had failed to protect their sovereign rights. Work on building a wall along the approach road to the French port of Calais began on Monday. The wall is an attempt to try to stop migrants from jumping aboard trucks bound for Britain. The wall is expected to be 13 feet high and to be built along both sides of the road. Several thousand protesters marched through Brussels to demand the European Union abandon planned transatlantic free trade deals. Demonstrators say the deals will lower standards and allow big business to challenge governments. There's a growing backlash in the West against free trade and globalization, which critics blame for factory closures and depressed wages. Students across South Africa have been protesting an 8% increase in university fees that's set to be implemented in 2017. During one protest, police arrested 31 students and used rubber bullets on them. The demonstrations have highlighted frustration at the inequalities that persist in South Africa after the end of white minority rule in 1994. The Saudi-led coalition hit the old city of Yemen's rebel-held capital Sana'a after the rebels fired a missile at Saudi Arabia overnight. According to the coalition, the missile launched at the King Khalid airbase on Monday evening was intercepted by the kingdom's air defenses and its launcher destroyed. In the latest round of violence in the Democratic Republic of Congo, police and demonstrators have clashed. The violence was sparked by the ongoing political crisis in the troubled Central African state. According to opposition groups, more than 50 people died on Monday in the capital, Kinshasa. However, the government said at least 17 people had been killed. And finally, an exhibition has opened in Shanghai, China, showcasing paintings by Syrian children. This was to raise awareness about the refugee crisis in the war-torn country. The NGO obtained the paintings when its founder and his team were doing research on refugees in Greece and Turkey. And that's all for From the South. More on these and other stories on our website, telesurtv.net/English.